Hello guys, it's Johnny time and today I'm happy to welcome a very special guest to the show, Holydevoti0n. He is a dedicated student of the smart contract hacking course that has been absolutely killing it in the Web3 security space. He's made a name for himself with impressive success in auditing contests, consistently finding critical vulnerabilities and securing top rewards. And today, we dive into his interesting journey from early success to mastering smart contract security and beyond. We're going to share a lot of tips for both beginners and intermediate smart contract auditors, so stick around. Oh, and if you would like to get more similar high quality content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, Johnny. Thanks for having me, and very happy to be here. And I hope I can share very valuable information with the community.
Hey, man, super glad that you came here. It's going to be super interesting, and I'm very excited and curious to hear about your journey and how you got into Web3 security and how are you able to literally kill it in every audit contest that you participate in. So before we dive into the technicalities of auditing contests and Web3 security, would you mind sharing with the audience your background in tech and security?
Sure. I've been working as a software engineer since 2010, so it's been around 14 years. And yeah, so over the last 3 years, I started studying smart contracts. And then I did the switch. I was focused on smart contract development. And then later on, I end up finding security. And yeah, this is a little bit about that. Also, I during my journey as a software developer, I also created several business. I had 3 different business. The first one was an agency that was creating mobile apps. And I worked in this company for 2 years. Later on, I ended up opening a fintech in Brazil. So we scaled this company to almost 30 people and sold this company to a bank in Brazil. And my last effort, let's say, as entrepreneur in software development was an app that I created to save sensitive media. And yeah, after reaching some thousand users in a daily basis, I sold this company to a British company. Yeah.
Wow, that's really impressive background. So you're coming from entrepreneurial kind of engineering background, and it's a very interesting transition from like building apps and selling businesses to companies to Web3 security. I'm super curious to see how this shift happened. But before we get into that, maybe show us like how you got into crypto and what triggered your interest.
Yeah, so I was in this fintech already. I created back then, and at this point we're checking for new technologies for payments, and that's how I first got into crypto. So this was in 2016, and I started like really investing heavily in crypto 1 year later, where I was like really studying the fundamentals and like buying some crypto here and there. And that's how it started. And from that point on, I was always.
Did you have any experience when it comes to playing with DeFi protocols, providing liquidity here and there, yield farming and such?
Yes, I started in around 2021. So at that time, I started using Uniswap, then SushiSwap for staking, and Curve. So yeah, it started from there. And after this, I wanted to let's say catch up with the trends on crypto. So back then, NFTs and GameFi was a huge topic. So I decided to try it out a little bit, and I ended up like investing a little bit in GameFi as well. So I would say that since this time, I've been heavily using crypto apps.
So you have been using crypto apps and DeFi. Any particular interesting app that you remember apart from SushiSwap, Uniswap that you were you making good returns, or like did you lose money? Because I know many people when they got in time into DeFi, they made nice returns, but at some points, you know, a lot of projects were discovered to be kind of Ponzi schemes, you know, with the unlimited emissions of tokens. So were you lucky enough to time it right, or were you eventually remained with the bags of not worthy coins?
So even though I was taking risk, I was always afraid to lose money, you know. So as I was not selling things because we had this crypto cycles, this bear market since 2016. So it was this, the market is very volatile. So, and I was never selling. So, and then I got this an impression about, okay, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they like are the foundation of this industry. So I would always invest more on them. But then once I had this experience with Dogecoin and also with DeFi Kingdoms, it was a game. Yeah, it was, they call it a game, but it was basically farming, like Sushi Swap at the time. I had several losses, but when we sum up overall, I just lost for, let's say, as you mentioned, scam projects, because those they went to zero and they ended up dying. So I would say that 30% of all my, let's say, assets in crypto I lost for this. But in the end, when we sum up the return, yeah, I have considered more than what I invested there.
This is cool. I'm glad to hear. By the way, me too. I had a lot of losses, but eventually the wins are they're more significant because we were early to this kind of DeFi games. Let it be DeFi Kingdoms, PancakeSwap, SushiSwap. They are all similar. They're using actually a very similar code base in the background, the master chef that they cloned. And considering you're coming from a tech background and a developer, were you curious about like how this decentralized applications work behind the scene, like how the smart contracts operate, or just clicking button and like not researching any further?
So initially, I started because started learning about smart contract development also in that year, 2021. But I was already investing right before that, and I would do as any, let's say, average user. I would go into the docs, see if the project is audited, see the references, research on internet, and the fundamentals. But once I started learning about smart contract development, I got like very curious to see, okay, let me see the codes of those projects and see like, you know, how it works, the background. And that's when I had a realization that when you read those docs and they are like very well written with a lot of, let's say, fundamentals and buzzwords, you can really get tricked by that because for example, at the time I was looking into PancakeSwap, SushiSwap, and on DeFi Kingdoms, and I was like, okay, as you mentioned, they use the MasterChef contract, and it's basically a Uniswap pool here, Uniswap V2 pool, and that's basically it. And at this point, that's one of the reasons that made me sell everything that I had on the DeFi Kingdoms immediately, because I was like, oh, those guys, they're doing some good marketing, and I'm afraid to lose here. So yeah, I decided to sell almost everything actually. I could see that many projects they are like just creating the hype on people. I had a huge realization there.
That's a good realization. I wish I had it earlier, but you are absolutely right. So I remember the days back then. It started from Uniswap, then SushiSwap came up with this MasterChef contract and the staking idea. So they incentivize people to provide liquidity, and then PancakeSwap forked them into the Binance Smart Chain, and then there was Polygon, very hot thing, right? So there was QuickSwap and all this kind of DEXs. And eventually DeFi Kingdom, I think it was on Harmony chain. There was a chain called Harmony. But, you know, this EVM fork started popping up with low fees. And everyone just forked this PancakeSwap code. But I think the innovation about DeFi Kingdom was the fact that first they added more contracts for like games, since they gamified it a little bit like an MMORPG game. And also the UX was cool. So you're not just like clicking buttons to stake liquidity, but it's like a game and farm, and it adds a level of like gamification to the whole thing. So this was their, it wasn't like a tech smart contract wise finance innovation, but more like to be nicer to users to make it feel like a game. So it's also an innovation in some part, but you're right. It's not like some kind of significant technological innovation like Uni V3 or V4 that is coming now, right?
Yeah, it's an innovation, but one innovation that is not worth 1 billion market cap, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was overvalued. All the market and all of tokens were like overly valued. And so you started like exploring Solidity smart contracts because you were curious like how these protocols work. Can you tell us a bit like how you did it? What was your approach? How did you learn Solidity and reading and writing smart contracts?
Yeah, so I wanted to make the transition actually to smart contract development, as I was already a software engineer and I was in the crypto industry for those years. I was like, okay, I think this is a really unique opportunity. And then I researched about content. And at that time, I remember one highlight was the Patrick Collins videos on YouTube. So I learned mostly from his courses there. I think there were like 2 or 3 courses that he did at the time. And after this, I was doing a lot of small projects myself and published them on GitHub. So I could get experience like, building some basic tokens, like recreating MasterChef and working with Uniswap and all this kind of, let's say, small projects. So I could get like a deeper knowledge on smart contract development.
Did you do it only for learning purposes, for curiosity, or to learn? What was your incentive behind like learning this new skill? Was it like finding a job? Was it just because the technology were interesting for you, or because you wanted to understand how the contracts or the money that they are putting inside, like how it works behind the scene, or like all together? Like what were your incentives behind starting this journey and exploring this industry?
Yeah, at this point, I would say it was everything you mentioned, because I wanted to have my career also on Web3, because I saw the potential. And the reason that I was starting those projects also was because it was tricky to like, okay, how I'm going to have hands-on experience here if I don't do something myself. So it was for like learning, building my own experience, and also to show this, let's say, to a future employer about this experience. And also, I started to join those hackathons. So in one of them, I rebuilt the BIF finance protocol. Was basically just a small addition that I did at the time, but was basically a fork. But again, the main goal was to like gain experience and understand how this protocol works, so I could be able to work with smart contract development later on.
Did you get any gigs or job offers to be a smart contract developer?
I got I got a few offers, but I was using a platform for I think it's called Calyptus. It's for senior Web2 developers that want to transition to Web3. But those offers, they were like not ideal for me, because it would be like on site. I would have to move, and yeah, they were also like super low paying. So when this happened, I started to think about it, because I really wanted to get into the industry. So at this point, because of this, let's say, I was not finding an ideal opportunity for me. I was more curious. Okay, what else can I do? And this was the start of jumping to the Web3 security part.
Cool. So, and how did you find out about Web3 security and smart contract auditing?
I started to see other fields that I could let's say, reuse my skills as a software engineer and in Web3. So basically, I Googled something like, on Web3 jobs, on which fields can I work and stuff like that. So there's a very famous platform. I think it's a crypto job list, something like this. And they had.
I know the founder is a very nice guy, Raman.
Oh, nice.
We even
Yeah.
met in Singapore. Yeah, crypto job list. Cool. Okay, go ahead.
That's very cool. So yeah, it was an eyes opening for me because that's when I saw that I could work as a security researcher. And at the time they're using this word auditor. Nowadays it's security researcher, but yeah, you can be an auditor, work with cybersecurity. And I was like, okay, let me take a look on this, because in my whole career, I never was interested in security before. So I had zero knowledge about that. And then I saw from this article, like how you could work. You could work for a firm or do contests. And then I was like, okay, but how are those contests? So, and then I started to read about Holydevoti0n a lot. And I ended up seeing some videos of, actually, one interview, I guess, that you posted. I don't remember who, but there was also a few other guys that had interviews with auditors on YouTube. So I saw those, and that's what how I got into Web3. Also, I remember that once I decided to do it, I saw a lot of content related to your course, and that you posted also on Medium, some tutorials and stuff. So I started learning by the Medium posts that you have there. And from that content, I met your course. And that's how I got into that.
It's very funny that you say that, because imagine you're watching videos of like interviews, probably mine or other channels where people interviewing security researchers, and now probably there are other beginners and new auditors or aspiring auditors and just watching this interview right now with you, security researcher, that achieved your goals, which is amazing. So, it's like
It's
kind of like
it's very rewarding and very happy. I just
so
think
you're happy that you chose this path, right?
I'm super happy that I chose this path, because it's also aligns with what I've done my entire life. At the beginning of this interview, I mentioned about, I was doing several other business and so on. So I have this drive on me that I want to do something else. I cannot feel good just having a job. So I really want to build something meaningful. And Web3 security really allowed me to do that. And I'm very, very happy so far.
And what do you think are the advantages to do Web3 security, apart from the monetary value and other advantages? Like why do you think it's like something that you like?
First thing that pop up through my mind is freedom, because you have no bureaucracy. You don't have any contract with an employer. So previously, for example, I was in Germany because I had the job in Germany. So I had to live there. And then I had to go to the office after some time. So first thing is freedom, right? And being able to work remotely is the second thing that is followed up by that. And only with those two things, working remotely and don't rely on a contract with some terms of a certain employer, I can really have freedom to live my life the way that I want. I am this kind of person that I have discipline on a daily basis, but I really struggle to do things at the same time every day. Like when you do a job from 9 to 5, there's going to be days that I'm going to be super productive, but there's going to be days that I'm going to be super productive, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., and flexibility. Yeah. So for me, that's all about that. And another main thing which you don't have in a job is the following. You get paid by the value that you provide. If you provide more value, you receive more. And if you are in a company and you are already let's say in a top position, a senior position, you providing 100% of your effort or providing 70%, it's not going to change much. So I really like this approach. If I give more, I receive more.
Amazing. It's exactly what Pashov said in one of our previous interviews. And that's what's so cool about it. Like, it's really up to you to either nail it or screw it up. And you have all the flexibility, all your freedom. Just go opt in an audit contest or a bug bounty program. And if you're good, you will get money and you will be rewarded, which is super cool. And what inspired you to enroll into the SEH course in your beginning? So you were exploring and looking around, you saw some interviews, you saw some articles, you started learning, and at some point you saw the course and you decided to jump in. So what was it that made you make this decision?
First of all, was the quality of the content that you posted on those articles, because it was really helpful for me. I had no idea about this field, and by reading all the content, it was like straightforward, easy to understand. And I got this impression that, okay, so it seems that this is a complex field, but I really liked the way that you approach it, because I could understand things easily. I was really thinking I would struggle a lot. And then when I saw the course, I was already like looking into the topics that it's in the course about the vulnerabilities, about like understanding how the EVM works and stuff. And then I was like, okay, if the content was like that good on Medium and stuff, and then I saw a few videos that you posted, I was like, okay, I'm not mistaken here. He's really good, and I can really understand. So that was one of the reasons. Also, the second one was that for me, the course seems to be very complete. Like, I really got the feeling, because I was like looking into the content of the course for like 2-3 days and researching and seeing if it would be enough. And I got the conclusion that by all the topics provided there, I would be already able to start the contest right after the course. And that's what I did. And in the first contest that I participated, I already found a median.
Amazing. I'm super glad to hear it. Thank you for the feedback. And actually, when you took the course, you also had a day job, right? In the meantime, like you worked somewhere. So how did you manage the balance between the course and the day job?
Yeah, I had a full-time job, and the balance was, there was no balance. The way that I did to deal with those at the same time was to reserve some fixed time for learning the course. So I was starting my day, because most of the time in the morning I have more energy. So I was basically first thing in the day, I was starting around 5 a.m., sometimes even earlier. I would do 5 up to 6 hours per day, every day, even the weekends. So I had no, let's say, rest. I was doing this every day, and that's how I did it. And of course, with that, I was a little bit more tired and so on. It was really hard to keep up with both, but it was a sacrifice that was, let's say, worth it, you know.
Amazing. And
And
you completed it, like you sticked around till the end, the last
I,
chapter.
I sticked around to the end, and I struggled a lot during the course. There were some, let's say, vulnerabilities that, some hands-on that I was spending a lot of time. For now, I cannot remember.
Any exercise you remember in particular or chapter that give you a hard time?
I think was one of the reentrance chapters. There was one, I'm not sure if it was the 3 or something, that I was not seeing the way to reenter there, you know.
Hidden.
It was hidden. And also, there was one that was simple, like this lack of input sanitization. You could pass like a encoded call and basically approve and steal all the tokens. But as I was new to all of this, it took me some time. But I put this into my mind that I would just finish the course by doing everything myself. And because of this reason, I started in July, and end of July, and I finished the course in the end of October. So in a few months.
Amazing. That's nice. That's the average time, I think, of completing the course when you really go through it. You know, taking your time and like doing every single exercise. So well done. And what are the main things that you were taking from this course? Like what kind of skills or understandings or conclusions or tools for the next step, which is like obviously auditing contests?
Yeah, two things. I think the course, the way that it's prepared, it really covers the, let's say, the fundamentals to start doing contests, because in the course we see the theory, right, and it's like very well detailed, and then we have this hands-on part where we really have to put effort on this. This is basically the way that it was built. It's basically a CTF. It's basically simulating a contest there, but adapted to like you learning every kind of vulnerability. So this is this is one of the things. And I would say the other one, it's what you mentioned about tools. I think the challenges, and at the time it was hard hat. I'm not sure if you it's updated to Foundry, but it was very beneficial because many times to this day, for example, on the Beanstalk contest, the whole suite test, one of the contests that I participated, was in hard hat initially, and it really helped me actually. Many people were struggling, like there's no Foundry here and so on, and I was sharp already because on the entire course I was doing everything with hard hat, for example. It also helped me because tools wise, it was the, let's say, for the time, an excellent tool. It's still great, and I really think it added for me a lot in the contest.
Amazing. Yeah, a lot of people tend to prefer Foundry, myself included, because it's way better than Hardhat. Okay, but I think it's very beneficial to be familiar with both frameworks, especially for the reason you mentioned. There are many code bases that are still using Hardhat, and that's okay. We have another code base that we use both Foundry and Hardhat because, for instance, we have our algo trading bot that is written with TypeScript. Some of the services are written in TypeScript, some of the services are written in Go. But the cool thing about Hardhat and TypeScript is that when you write your contracts and interfaces and you have Hardhat, then it automatically generates the types for your contract and all the ABIs and interfaces. So you just write npx Hardhat compile and it just generates all the types for you. Foundry doesn't do that for you. And you cannot write an algo trading bot in Solidity. You need to have like TypeScript or Go, some services that are running in the background in an asynchronous way and doing different stuff. It's not like just tests. In Foundry, it's perfect if you just want to write to test your contract, to do invariant testing, to do scripts of deployment or management of the protocol. But if you want a real like compressing project with also an off-chain element like arbitrage and MEV and algo trading, you cannot rely only on Foundry. So we use both Foundry because we really like the testing of Foundry and the cheat codes. And we're testing the contracts through Foundry, but we also have Hardhat in the same project to utilize the advantages of TypeScript types. So, and like you said, in many code bases, they use sometimes both, sometimes they use Foundry, sometimes Hardhat. So it really depends. And it's very nice to know both technologies, in my opinion.
Exactly. And just an additional point, many times you found vulnerabilities by looking into the unit test stack. And sometimes by knowing both, you can see that, okay, especially on Hardhat, because you don't have fuzzing, so it's really easy to miss some tests, and by knowing both, you can have this advantage. You can faster find vulnerabilities by looking into the unit test stack as well.
That's a very good tip. That's something that I do sometimes as well, to look at a unit test coverage and see what the developers did not test, or maybe the tests are too optimistic, or they didn't check like pessimistic state cases. But we'll share more tips of like when it comes to approaching a contest or a code base later on in this interview. So you finished with a course and then you decided to jump into your first audit contest. Can you share about your first experience when it comes to participating in a contest? Which platform did you choose? Which contest was it? Why did you choose it? And how was it?
Sure. So I chose Code Arena because, let's say, at the time was the biggest one. I think it's still one of the biggest one. And I saw a lot of other stories from authors that were participating there. So it was, I didn't do a deep research. I was just like, oh, okay, this seems to be the most, let's say, reliable one. I'm going to participate on this one. And um, so it was like this. I finished the course in 1 week, and I just started a new contest in the week after. So
Wow.
I was not being picky or anything about like the project and so on. And there was this project called, I think, Open Dollar. It was a new project, and it was so amazing experience because I remember that I wrote 5 submissions, and I was like, for me it was very rewarding because I was like, okay, this is my first contest, and I'm really able to already find stuff here, because I was really like, okay, it's gonna be like tough, hard. Maybe I already had the expectation that I would have maybe 5 contests without finding anything, and so I did. The contest was a small one, and a few weeks later the results came out, and then I had a medium there, and the feeling was, I think, a few times in my career I felt this reward feeling of a recent effort that you did and being paid off already. So I was very excited when I saw the results, and I was like, okay, let's go to the next contest. And yeah, it started like this.
Amazing. So yeah, I can see that you made around $50 in your first contest, which is not bad at all. Right after finishing the course, it was October 2023. And do you remember like the issues that you found there? Was it like, what was it about?
So it was related to the governor contract from Open Zeppelin, actually. Yeah, it was not well written. There was some misconfiguration there that would allow attackers to submit proposals and already approve them right away. Yeah, could even be a high, but I couldn't escalate or anything. I was new to the platform, so. But yes, I think I wrote some other ones. It was about rounding issues and so on, but they were downgraded to QA and stuff. I didn't know much about the rules as well. I was just thinking, okay, I think this is a medium, you know?
Amazing. So this
Yeah.
contest actually got you more motivated, even though you made $50, and I'm sure you made way more money in your developer jobs or businesses, but you still were motivated. Why?
Because it was not about the money. It was about like being able to do it. Like, so a few months prior, I was just there researching, like frustrated because it was tricky for me to get a nice smart contract dev job. And then just like 4-5 months later, I already had my first result. So it was not about the money at all. It was just that, okay, I already did a
You can
good
do it.
start here. Yeah,
I
I
can
can
do
do it.
this. I can participate in contests and make some money and find legitimate bugs and bring value to projects. That's yeah. I felt the same also. And one of my first contests was something like this, like $50 or something. And of course, I can make way more money in my other jobs, but it still feels good because it's like it's also scalable because okay, I can get better, right? I can and do better. I can invest more time. I can change my approach. I can learn more about the rules. I can pick a different contest, but like it's cool to know that this opportunity exists at any time. If you have some free time, you want to dive into a new code base and make some money, you can just go to the platforms and pick your contest, right? No one will tell you yes or no.
Exactly. Exactly. This is related to the freedom part that I said. You can just pick up the kind of work that you want, and that's it.
Beautiful. And what was your strategy when it comes to your first contest? How did you approach the code base?
I remember that I read a few articles with the basics. For example, going through the docs, understand the project really well, and after this, go into the code in a more, let's say, systematic way, like looking more like superficial, just trying to understand how things are connected to each other. And after having this first, let's say, big picture, then you would go deeper and, yeah, going like contract by contract and analyzing everything. So actually, it didn't change much for me to this day. usually I go through the code actually several times. It's interesting that there are contests that I go through the code like 6, 7 times. And it's always like that for me. Whenever I iterate through the code, when after the third or fourth, time that I do it, I really start to get like some deep insights about leads and for vulnerabilities and stuff like that. All my results, the greatest results that I've ever had, it's still using the same strategy, and they always come more into the end of the contest.
Oh, really? Through the end of the contest. So you're mainly focused through the contest to understand the logic and the protocol, but throughout the contest, you also leave like notes on the code or in a file on the side or a notebook. Like, how do you when you encounter a potential issue? What do you do?
So I add a lot. Actually, I use this on these notes extensions for audit notes, and I have my own ways to leave things. For example, when I iterate through the code the first times, I have, let's say, a customized tag for, let's say, audit and question. When I'm not understanding why the code is like that, why is doing that, I have customized node for, let's say, weak leads, another one for strong leads, another one for solid vulnerabilities. So actually, I leave a lot of nodes, and over time I was customizing them, so it's very easy for me to just pick up the type of one node. For example, I just want to go through the strong leads for vulnerabilities. So then I just go into those nodes, and then I try to see if I can convert that into a submission. So I use this heavily.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm doing something similar. We usually do another thing. We are trying, when I work in a team, so we like to do brainstorming in digital security. When we do audit for clients, we read the code, we review the code. Of course, we'll leave comments if we see any issues on the code. But then we just go to open a new Markdown file, audit.markdown, and try to come up with ideas together. So let's say it's a bridge. We just did like a few days recently. We participated in the Code Hacks ARC project bridge contest. We dedicated like 1-2 days to it. And then we come up with ideas like, oh, maybe can I double spend the tokens? Can I bridge it twice? Can I craft a message to the bridge somehow from the source chain and that it will go through and get to the destination chain to manipulate the protocol? Can the funds be locked in the bridge? Can I override the state of the bridge? All these kind of edge cases. We just write these questions. This is just tip on my end. And then we try to answer them. So it's either yes, we can do it, or either no, we check this and that. It's not possible. That's another approach that we like to do.
Yeah. This one also works very well, especially when working in a team. I really like to. I also use this one. But
do you work in a team, or you usually work alone?
So I had one experience so far with Zebra H3. We worked together on the Zaros contest. The contest is now in the appealing period. So we have some highs and mediums there. We had let's say an okay result there. Was nice. I think I'm going to make it to the top, let's say top 10.
Nice.
But it was my first experience, and I'm planning to work on the Uniswap contest. Actually, I am waiting for the conditionals of the pot. I don't know how they're going to do that. But it might be that I'm going to work also with a teammate. It's going to be my second experience. And on top of that, also, I use other tools to help me with the understanding of the code base. One that I use heavily is Holydevoti0n.
Holydevoti0n.
Yeah, they have a new plugin now which you can convert text to diagram using AI. So it saves a lot of time. You just write a sequence of steps, and it already does the diagram for you. So it's much faster now.
Wow. Yeah, I heard about this feature. This is actually a very useful feature for security researchers because it really Also for generating a report, if you're like a company like us, Ginger Security, and want to generate report for clients, that would be amazing because you can just describe the steps or the protocol, the way it works, and it will generate beautiful diagrams for you. So Excalibur AI generator, beautiful.
Yes.
Thanks for the tip.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
Thank-
So how did we go from $50 per contest to 24K, 10K, 1.5K, 19K? Because what I want to tell next is that your next contest was Code Hacks Beanstalk Part 1. You got a first place and you earned $24,000. Then you participated also in Immunify eBTC Boost. You claimed the third place with $10,000. Then you participated in Beanstalk Part 2. Fourth place, 1.5K. Beanstalk final contest, you made another 19K, claiming the fourth place and also extra 4K in the community judging. So you were literally killing it. And I mean, the slope was very slopey, very high, from $50 to 24K. So, right? Am I right? It was like the second
Yeah.
contest?
Actually, there was a gap there between the first contest and the Beanstalk, because I think Beanstalk contest started in February or March, and this first contest that I did was in November, October, November. So
what was in between? What was in between?
In between, I had 3 contests. One I remember very well because it was very tough for me. Actually, I would say I hit the wall because was one from Etina Labs. So the Pashov audited that one before going to Code Arena, and it was actually crazy because I didn't find anything. But then when I saw the results, there was like 1 million, and that was it. I was like, and there was the QA report, but yeah, there was 1 million.
Anything. It's good. So it didn't miss anything. It was a very secure code base.
Yes. So, and then after this, I was jumping always into so what changed was that I started to look into the reports, and I noticed something. I was like, in Code Arena, if I'm not this, I think it's senior, I forgot the name of the role, but you can have access to the reports right away after the contest ends.
Backstage role.
Backstage, actually, yes, correct. So I wasn't backstage yet. So then I started to notice, after the Tina Labs, I really need to learn fast what I'm missing here. And I don't have this with Code Arena because I have to wait for all the results to come out. And this is going to take months. I noticed that was around 2 months or something. So then I started to think about other platforms. I wanted a platform where I could just see the submissions after the contest ends. And that's how I jumped into Sherlock. No, actually, Cantina. Actually, it was Cantina first. So I participated of the Morpho Labs contest. And
remember, you asked for me, I think for me, an invite. I gave you an invite, right? To Cantina.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, this is true. Yeah, I got the invite with you, actually. Okay. And so in a nutshell, I had 3 or 4 contests that I had 0 findings. But this time I was able to come back to the submissions right away after the contest ends. And then I was learning what I was missing. So then I started to learn so much. And then early on, I found out that, okay, coming to the submission is the best way here to leverage knowledge because you went through the code base. So, and then you see what other people found and you can do the same. You go back to the code after seeing the submission and then you try to understand the submission. So I started to do that.
100%. One of the best methods, in my opinion.
Yes.
When you have a fresh code base in your head, you really, you broke your brain around it and you found something, but you probably missed something. But now you see what other people found for this particular code base that you broke your head around. That's where learning happens because that's where your brain starts to change and you have new connections of how to spot these kind of bugs that you missed because that you first have frustration because damn, how didn't I see this? But then the next one, it's it's like training, you get better and better, like in the gym, like riding bicycle, and your brain evolves into detecting and finding those other bugs that you missed.
Exactly. And there's the emotional aspect attached to it because, as you said, you get frustrated that you missed so many stuff and you worked so hard in that contest, you know, so you get this frustration, but at the same time, you are learning what you missed 2 weeks ago and everything's fresh in your mind. So it kind of really, the learning really sticks to your mind. And also, one thing that I do is I just have a Notion template. I put all those learnings there as well, you know, so every contest, so what I missed and what I learned here. And this is really helpful actually, because I started to increase this list over time. And I always get back to this list from time to time to review some stuff that is not so clear for me, you know. So there was this gap then between those contests and also during this time. So basically it was from December to February with no results. I started to like increase my knowledge as well. So I started to like work more in my, let's say, manual review, like pay more attention to things and learning and through like the submissions that I missed. But also I started to study deeply about fuzzing. So I learned a lot. I did this workshop from Tree of Bits with Ashna. And
Yeah.
yes, I always Kidna. I always struggle to say the name of
Yeah,
this store.
everyone struggles with the name. Just a poor choice of name. Chidna, Kidna, Shidna, you know, like there's so many
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah, and actually fuzzing really opened up my mind because of the fuzzing. I noticed that you know what I did in a contest. Actually, you participated in this contest. I think you participated with the smart contract programmer.
Oh yeah, what was it? Ethereum Credit Guilds.
Yes, I participated on this one, and you know what I did there? It was my first time applying fuzzing, and I did a fuzzing where I put a precondition to ignore certain conditions, but this precondition that I put there is what prevented my fuzzing to find the vulnerability. So with fuzzing, I learned something very essential, which is like many times if you have an excellent fuzzing, but it's not directed properly to the case that you are covering, you have these false positives. And yeah, this was the whole experience before Beanstalk. So, and I also noticed that I had a short contest before Beanstalk. It was Salt.io. I had like 2 valid findings and I earned $2. And with all this experience, I had this realization that, okay, I want to keep learning. If I keep missing findings, I don't mind as long as I'm learning. But I'm going to stick to the, let's say, hardest contests, the ones that it's already like heavily audited, because you write reports, but then the return of investment it's better. I don't want to write 15 reports and then having like in the end $10 as a result, even though I have 15 valid findings. So yeah, this is, let's say, a wrap up before Beanstalk, and this is what also led me to choose Beanstalk at the time.
So what changed in Beanstalk?
So on Beanstalk, I paid much more attention to understanding the project first. Actually, Beanstalk is a project that is really tricky to understand, even as a user. They have like some concepts
the pods and all these kind of things.
Yeah, the pods, the beans, the roots. It's like
The whole garden.
yeah, a whole garden, a whole farm there, and so when I noticed that the documentation was tricky to understand, I was like, okay. And then I saw that the project was live, heavily audited, and they were doing an upgrade. I was like, okay, those guys, they are like really good, and it's really hard to understand this project, and this is the one that I'm gonna do my best. So
they also went through a hack, right? They got hacked in the past.
Yeah, they got
governance.
Yeah, there was a governance hack. Yeah, it was in 2022, and yeah, I saw everything about them. They had this. They still have it, of course. The bug bounty program on Immunify, and it's 1 million for a critical if you find. So with all of this information, I really realized that it was a hard contest, and that could be an opportunity for me to finally do it great. And then I avoid several mistakes that I did before. So when I got into fuzzing, I was doing something wrong. I started to split a fixed time for fuzzing in the project. So this is not good because what I was doing, sometimes I was doing fuzzing without the leads. So I was like, I want to increase the coverage here. Let's do fuzzing here and there.
You wasted
And
time. You just shot in the dark. You didn't have like direct like thing that you want to
exactly,
fuzz or direct invariant that you want to check. You're just all over the
exactly.
place.
Exactly. And with all those painful, let's say, contests in the past, like by missing everything, I was like those 3, 4 contests with 0 findings. So this really caught my attention to, okay, go deep into the docs, go deep into the code. And this was the first time that I started to do this 5 times plus code review. Let's say I was going through the code like a lot, and I noticed that okay, I'm like going through the code here 3, 4 times, and now I can see things that I couldn't see previously. So this is what changed the most for the Beanstalk contest.
Cool. And in this contest, did you write any particular fuzz tests which helped you to find the critical bugs?
Yes. So remember that the code base was in Hardhat, and it was not working with Foundry. So I had to build a whole, let's say, tutorial step by step to do my submissions, because I set up Foundry in the project, and then I fixed some stuff that they had there for mocks, and then I started fuzzing. And with fuzzing, let's say with a campaign of less than 10 minutes, I already found an issue with an invariant.
Wow.
There was an invariant. Yes, there was an invariant. So everything started with the lead, right? I was understanding the documentation. I was understanding the code. And then there was an invariant in the documentation about the rain. And some value should be adjusted in a certain range when the Oracle would fail. So I did the fuzzing. I put that the Oracle failed, and I wrote the invariants too. I started to write the invariants because Beanstalk, they didn't have back then the invariants on the code, like well defined, let's say. So I started to write them myself and test one by one. So when I was testing this one, I was like, okay, so this is setting up the wrong value here. This is gonna make the project to, for example, issue more beans than it should, for example. And it's going to change the temperature, which is the temperature in Beanstalk. It's like, let's say, the rewards that's going to be issued, the interest that's going to be issued over time. So yeah, it was everything that I went through that was, let's say, negative in a way of not finding vulnerabilities really helped me on this contest.
Amazing. And do you remember how many issues did you find in this particular contest?
Actually, there was only 4 mediums in this contest, and I found 2 of them.
Wow.
And this one of with the this one was unique. So I had one unique and one duplicated, and only this unique it was around $18,000.
Sure. For one medium unique finding, $18,000.
Exactly.
This is amazing. Yeah, so people tend to think that if they find highs, they will get more money. Yes, usually yes, but the biggest amount of money you get in contests are when you find unique issues. Let it be medium, usually medium or highs, but sometimes even lows. There are some people that submitted just a unique low, where especially when there are no highs and mediums in this contest, and they make like a few $1,000s for one issue. And there is some people that like submit a high, a very obvious one, that 100 other people submit the same issue, and you get like 1 cent. So this is how it works.
Exactly.
Amazing. So you chose a complicated contest because you thought that you will have an edge, and it was also time to shine and perform. And then you moved on to Immunify EBTC Boost. Why did you choose this one, which you already also killed? By the way, you also like nailed the third place with $10,000. So this was also heavily audited. So this was like the reason that you chose this boost.
Exactly, it was the reason, and also because the guys that were working on it, they are really advanced in fuzzing and yeah, smart contract development. So I knew that in this contest, I would also learn a lot about best practices for invariants. For example, they write all their invariants in the code and they test them explicitly. So for me, the EBTC was a project that I would like. The main goal was to leverage my knowledge actually, and of course, I knew that would be tough, and I could earn also something there. And yeah, I was lucky to like in the end of the contest to have a finding that yeah I could get in third place there with this unique finding. I think in the end there was only 2 or 3 findings in this project, you know,
Wow.
and
Yeah, I
I found
remember in this particular one, I was the one who creating like the intro video for this competition. It was heavily audited by multiple firms, including, I think there was a contest in Codarina. There was also audits by Trust Security. Trust himself, I think, audited the code. It was very well tested with a lot of invariant testing. And I think the one of the owners or developers in this protocol is Alex the Entrepreneur or something.
yes.
And this guy is like well known. He's like a judge in Codarina. So he wrote a lot of invariant testing. So it's pretty impressive that you were able to still find one of these unique issues and make nice results in this one.
Yeah, and yeah, it was basically the same approach from Beanstalk. There, I could develop a new, let's say, gut feeling because I started to notice something. I was like, okay, those guys here, they really put a lot of effort on fuzzing and invariants to make sure that the system is working as expected. And then I started to think like, what are the things that those guys don't like to do? What are the things that they invested less time in this project? Like, I started to think like, what are the knowledge gap of the devs here? And I could see that, okay,
I
they
thought the
forked it.
answer would be nothing.
Huh?
No, I thought the answer would be nothing because it's really experienced devs.
Yes,
But
they're really experienced. But
but there's
then
no
I
hundred
had,
percent. There's no 100%. Always devs make mistakes or have some overlooked areas.
yes, always. And then I noticed something. I was like, okay, they forked from Liquid protocol. This Alex entrepreneur guy, he's been working with Liquidity, auditing projects. I also like did the research on them to understand. So I knew that that part would be tricky. And then I started to like think, okay, what is new here that differs from Liquidity protocol, and those guys didn't spend much time. So I had the guess, let's take a look on the integrations, like Oracle integrations. And I didn't have much time for the contest. I remember I had like 4 or 5 days, and the code base is huge. I was like, I'm going to focus only integrations. And it was a guess because, but then it was a guess based on, okay, I
Wasn't only
guess that,
guess. I don't know if you watched my video, but in the video I mentioned all the changes from Liquidity. I literally said, "Oh, this the Oracle integration. This is changed. This is different. That is different. The way they calculate collateral or something is a bit different." So, but it's a good. It's not a guess. It's a good like focus, especially that you know that your time is limited. Maybe we were a bit lucky because there were a lot of changes from Liquidity, and you chose this one, and there it's where you found these findings. But it's a smart approach to okay, they are forking protocol. Let's see what's new, right?
exactly. And this is another thing with outing too, you know, sometimes you get lucky. You have to understand that when you have the skin in the game for a long time, there will be times that you're going to get lucky. You are doing this, you are doing 2 contests per month. In one contest or other, you're going to have lucky with some effort that you're going to put there, you know.
Like
And
everything
this
in life.
happened like
Sometimes the
everything in life.
competition is lower. Sometimes you just were lucky about the certain part of the code base that you were looking at, or sometime you had like a divine insight from God or something that led you to find a very unique finding. You know, it's like there are a lot of different properties and variables that might change in every contest.
Exactly. Um, and with that, also, another experience from this contest is that I started to understand that this plays a huge role in your return, the timing to enter in a contest. Because, for example, there's going to be this contest now from Uniswap, and but there are going to be contests in parallel. And you might think, okay, Uniswap is 2.5 million, but maybe there's a contest that's going to be 200K. But because people are too like focused on Uniswap or other bigger contests, then you have that one with less competition. So this is something that you also have to put, into your decision and making process.
And you're sharing too much alpha here. Keep some for yourself. No, I'm joking, but it's really great tips, like in terms of like how to choose contest, whether it's like a very heavily audited code base, so you know that like there are going to be less findings, but if you find one unique, nice one, it's going to worth it, or one that is not very tested or heavily tested, to add some environment testing for some environments that you see in the docs. Amazing tip. And the last one that you shared, don't go after the crowd. Don't go after the biggest diamond, the most shining one, like this Uniswap V4 competition. That if you read between the lines, you can see that it's not really 2.5, because it depends of which issues are found, and of course they're going to fight for their life to downgrade the severity of the issues because they don't want to pay $2.5 million, of course. So a smart strategy, like you suggest, is to see what other contests are happening simultaneously, because all the competition is going after the biggest diamond, and you're going to go to the middle diamond, and with less competition you might grab it, right?
Exactly. The timing to enter in a contest is impacts your results 100%.
Amazing. And do you think writing fuzzing tests and being familiar with invariant tests and fuzzing and Echidna and I don't know, Foundry invariant test or any other tools is a requirement these days for security researchers, or some of the findings that you found that yielded significant results like uniques with high payout were not only thanks to fuzzing?
I think for contests, what plays a big role is manual review. I think fuzzing in this contest doesn't have much value besides you understanding let's say, the unit test and doing a combination of what is missing and whether those fuzzing tests they are like built properly. Like because of the time constraint of contests, I would say 80% manual review, 85%, maybe 15% of not fuzzing directly, but as I mentioned, you understanding fuzzing and see if everything's been covered. So this can help. But when it comes to fuzzing, in my opinion, it can be very helpful to bug bounties, because then you don't have time constraints and
Right.
you can invest heavily on this. And I think then you can have big results, because then you have your own time. And yeah, with that, you can explore fuzzy and do big, like long campaigns, fuzzing campaigns. And in this case, I see a lot of value.
Amazing. So the conclusion is that it's a very good tool to have in your arsenal, but it's not a requirement to make it and succeed in auditing contests. It's way better tool when it comes to bug bounties where you don't have time constraint.
Exactly.
Amazing. And by the way, do you prefer to use Echidna or Foundry? What do you use more often when it comes to fuzzing?
I use both. I think the latter, let's say, has and Medusa too. Actually, I use those three. I mean, the setup it's quite easy nowadays, because there are several tools out there that people built. Like there's a community called Perimeter that Alex Entrepreneur is there. Also, other guys that invest a lot in fuzzing. You can use those tools, for example, to run all of those tools like with low effort. So usually I use three of them. Foundry, Medusa, and Ashna. So yeah, I think they add good value, and in my opinion, yeah, and Ashna and Medusa can bring more results than Foundry, for example. That's my opinion.
Thanks for sharing. Now, looking forward, what's your next adventure goal? Where are you heading? What's going to be your focus?
So far, I think I could learn a little bit, let's say, in the contest, but I'm feeling that I should specialize into a big topic. We see many authors specialize in different things, like, let's say, optimum tech stack, or yeah, Arbitrum or ZK. So we see many authors doing this path, and I think it's a really good one once you specialize in something, because you can leverage this knowledge to find like very complex bugs. So this is what I'm planning for, let's say, the short term. In the long term, I have a drive to, but it's very long term, to build my own DeFi protocol. But yeah, this I don't have a deadline set up yet. I am planning to at least next year work as a security researcher full time and invest more in bug bounties. I really want to have more results next year in bug bounties with this specialized knowledge, let's say.
Very cool. By the way, I hear it quite often from security researchers that are considering building a DeFi protocol. So it's interesting that you say that. And diving into advanced subjects like zero knowledge and other cool stuff. Well, another cool stuff that I saw is like, I forgot the name, but like under collateralized loans. Deco, I think it's called Deco. It's some kind of tool, zero knowledge tool that essentially you log into your bank account and then it generates some kind of proof that proves that you have a balance or that you paid back your loans, stuff like that. And then there is a chain link network that get this proof and submit this ZK proof without your actual data on chain, and then a lending protocol can give you a loan. This is mind blowing. This is beautiful because most of the loans that are being given in the off-chain traditional banking finance world are under collateralized, right? Credit cards, student loans, mortgages. It's not that you put other collateral, but you get just this under collateralized loan. And if it would come into DeFi on-chain smart contracts, it will like just increase the opportunity so much. So I just read a awesome article that a colleague from Open Zeppelin shared with me. Mind blowing, and it's very interesting. So there are a lot of cool things that are being built right now, and I believe that the innovation is going to flourish in DeFi also in the future. And it's super interesting that you're saying that you want to dive into these new technologies. Another question that I wanted to ask you is if whether you considered joining an auditing firm, like I don't know, any auditing firm.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I have no experience so far with that, but my guess is that by joining an audit firm, you can really leverage your knowledge much faster because you're going to work with other people that, is more experienced than you. And I would be open to join, of course. But I've seen that companies, at least one of them, they have the really good proposal, like, for example, Sparebit DAO, you can have this flexible work, right? You don't have to work the whole month, for example. You can work a few weeks or in a project or, So I'm open for it, of course. And I think, yeah, it can really speed up things. But then I would always work in this hybrid way where I can have some time to myself to, let's say, invest my time doing bug bounties and contests as well. So I would be up to it, but can say that in a 50-50 percent situation, where I split the time for the company and for me.
I understand. You have the entrepreneurial freedom mindset, so it's hard to commit a full-time job for a company. But there are the advantages there as well, like the people that you work with, the things that you learn, and of course the stable income that comes every month. So yeah, it's a good question, and thanks for answering. What kind of advice would you give to like beginners that are watching this interview right now? Apart from like technical advice of how to approach contests and stuff, but things that like lessons that you learned through the way or mistake that you have done that they cannot that they won't repeat them, right?
Yeah, I would say to like really focus on your own development and don't compare yourself with anyone. And make sure that every contest you are getting better. You must get better every contest. So I think it's very important to have a document, a Notion template that you can really track your mistakes and your learnings. And because over time you can, you know, go through all your like mistakes, learning, and then you can have a much clearer idea on how you are progressing through. So you have also better tracking of how you are progressing. So just focus on yourself. Also, another thing, don't keep doing tutorials here and there. The best way to learn is contests. There's nothing else. If you're not prepared, it's completely fine. Go for it. You're going to learn a lot in the end. You are zero prepared. You don't understand anything. Perfect. Try to do what you can understand. And in the end, look at the submissions and see what you learned, what you missed, and learn with that.
Amazing tips. Thank you so much for sharing them. And if people want to reach out to you and ask you questions, maybe get some guidance, I'm not talking about spoon feed guidance, guys. Don't ask him for roadmaps or or to mentor you or something, but like real concrete questions. So how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on Twitter. I am always on, so it's on Holydevoti0n. Yeah,
Discord maybe also.
And it's the same on the ID from Discord is also the same, Holydevoti0n and Twitter. So yeah, just reach me out there, and I would love to have some valuable talks with you guys.
Amazing. Thank you. I actually noticed that you were also very active in our SCH community and helping others. So I want to thank you for that. When there are new students, newcomers, and need help, whether it's in exercise or tips, so you're always there for them. And I appreciate it a lot. So thanks a lot for helping.
You're welcome. And just it's very rewarding be able to help somehow, because this is exactly what I got when I joined the community there. I got a lot of help from the community too. So yeah.
This is amazing, man. So thank you so much for coming here, sharing this alpha, your experience, your journey. I'm sure it's super valuable, and I hope people enjoy this interview. And guys, now I'm talking to you. So if you did enjoy it, share it with your friends. Make sure to click the like button. It really helps to push the algorithm so more people can learn from this alpha. So maybe it's actually not a good idea because you want to keep the alpha for yourself. So don't smash the like button. But if you do want to get more alpha, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell notification button. So once we have new interview, you can get notified and see it right away. Thank you so much again. It was a great pleasure, and we'll be in touch.
We'll be in touch. Thanks again for the opportunity.